Part 1. In the chill of a moonless night, the unexpected sound of rustling leaves and distant footsteps set the stage for a mystery that would soon grip an entire town. It began with the discovery of the lifeless body of Lila Monroe, a young woman whose promising future was brutally snatched away. Silhouetted against the dark outline of towering pines, her body was found in an eerie clearing on the edge of an ancient forest. Witnesses later recalled a grim scene. As Lila's remains were being carried deep into the woods with the sinister intent of dismemberment, a shadowy figure intervened. This mysterious stranger's sudden appearance thwarted the would-be killer, scattering the malefactors into the night. The intervention only deepened the enigma, leaving the local authorities both grateful for the unexpected savior and puzzled by the deliberate orchestration behind the crime. The investigation rapidly took an unexpected turn when evidence, delicate and disquieting, pointed towards someone close to the victim. Clues led detectives to a modest apartment on a quiet suburban block where Samuel King, Lila's secret lover, had been residing. However, upon arrival, seasoned investigators found that Samuel, too, had met a grisly fate. His body bore the unmistakable marks of a torturous death. Under the fractured light of a flickering street lamp, investigators noted disturbing traces at Samuel's apartment. Splashes of blood beneath a grimy window and fragments of hair that whispered dark secrets. Each element of the crime scene seemed carefully arranged, hinting at a cruel form of artistry born out of hatred and desperation. This tangled web of guilt was made even more complex when subtle forensic details came to light. Minute particles of rubber and remnants of brake fluid clung stubbornly to Samuel's fingers, and a blood-stained knife bore the same telltale signs. It appeared that shortly before his untimely end, Samuel had inadvertently left behind evidence suggesting a malevolent act aimed at sabotaging a vehicle. A clue that pointed to a premeditated effort to engineer a deadly accident. As the investigators pieced together these perplexing fragments, a sense of foreboding began to grow. What initially appeared to be two isolated tragedies, the murder of Lila Monroe and the subsequent killing of her lover, now spun into an intricate tapestry of deception, revenge, and unforeseen connections. How could the sabotage of a simple car component be interwoven with the unraveling of these deeply personal conflicts? The darker corners of this case were just beginning to reveal themselves, ushering in a narrative that promised even more twists and startling revelations. Part 2. As investigators delved deeper into the perplexing case, long-forgotten secrets began to surface like roots from the soil of a dark past. Forensic teams meticulously re-examined Samuel King's remains, noting every incongruity, a prominent one being the mysterious residue of rubber and brake fluid found on his fingers. This clue, seemingly insignificant at first, quickly morphed into a crucial piece of the puzzle. It whispered of sabotage, hinting that someone had tampered with a vehicle's critical systems. But this wasn't just an act of vehicular malice. It was a calculated move intricately tied to an age-old mystery. Elsewhere, in the dimly lit corridors of the local museum, Frankie Jenkins, a dedicated yet unassuming curator, found himself thrust into the center of the investigation. Frankie had, months before, received a cryptic manuscript from Gavin Donnelly, a once-respected entrepreneur known for his enigmatic ties to Portsmouth's hidden histories. The manuscript, penned in a code only the most learned could decipher, allegedly contained instructions leading to a long-lost treasure. In an ironic twist of fate, Frankie had attempted to unearth this fabled trove, but came away with only fragments of its secret. Now, with disturbing hints linking a saboteur's act to the relics of a bygone era, the case began to blur the lines between cold-blooded murder and the desperate lengths people would go to in their obsessive quest for fortune and recognition. Hidden among the details was another startling revelation. Samuel's fatal encounter seemed less like a random act of violence and more like a meticulously orchestrated part of a larger, clandestine scheme. The very evidence on his body, traces of brake fluid, the unique cut on the blade he clutched, suggested that Gavin Donnelly had purposefully altered the brakes of a vehicle, setting in motion a chain of events that spiraled into sheer horror. Amid whispers of a false trail designed to mislead the authorities, suspicion began to swirl around another figure entirely, the unassuming husband of Lila Monroe. Though outwardly mourning the loss of his wife, Subtle inconsistencies in his alibi and a hidden record of dubious financial transactions raised the possibility that he might have played a role in more than one tragic twist. In the murky blend of greed, revenge, and unspeakable pain, every new piece of evidence deepened the mystery rather than providing closure. Each revelation was like another layer of an onion, each peel exposing further secrets underneath. The intertwining fates of these American souls, Lila Monroe, Samuel King, Frankie Jenkins, Gavin Donnelly, and the enigmatic husband, formed a convoluted tapestry that defied simple answers. How had a treasure hunt, laden with coded manuscripts and half-truths, led to such horrifying acts of violence? And could it be that in their relentless pursuit of lost riches, these individuals had unwittingly unleashed a chain reaction of retribution, weaving the threads of their destinies into a pattern too intricate to unravel without consequence? Part 3. As the investigation pressed on, every alley of this twisted tale revealed yet another unexpected layer, each laden with the weight of human desperation and the lure of forbidden secrets. In the dead hours of the night, when the city's hum softened into an eerie silence, detectives gathered clues that spoke of clandestine meetings, coded communications, and deals struck beneath the cover of darkness. Rumors swirled like smoke around the shattered remains of shattered lives, and in every whispered conversation lay the potential for a shocking confession. The enigmatic husband, who had long maintained a facade of grief and innocence, now found his carefully constructed alibi crumbling under the scrutinizing gaze of relentless inquiry. The breadcrumbs of financial irregularities, hasty language in private correspondence, and a peculiar connection to the fateful act of vehicular sabotage all converged to paint a picture too conflicted to ignore. Yet, like an expertly staged play, the entire sequence of events hinted at an underlying orchestration, one that stretched far beyond simple acts of murder and mayhem, weaving together personal vendettas, unbridled greed, and the desperate pursuit of a mysterious treasure that had long slipped through the fingers of those who dared search for it. Further investigation unveiled covert communications between files long thought to be mere legends. The cryptic manuscript that once passed from Gavin Donnelly to Frankie Jenkins emerged as a linchpin in this labyrinth of deceit. Its contents alluded to an ancient secret buried beneath layers of American history, a secret powerful enough to motivate even the most reluctant of criminals to commit unspeakable acts. In dimly lit archival rooms and behind locked doors, investigators uncovered records pointing to a covert network with roots in forgotten folklore and modern-day ambition. As the evidence piled up, it became clear that the threads tying together Lila Monroe's tragic end, Samuel King's mysterious death, and the possible complicity of Lila's own husband were all part of an intricate design aimed at diverting attention from the true quarry, a secret long safeguarded by those willing to kill for its admission. Every new detail added a brutal brushstroke to a grim tableau that depicted a world where loyalty was as brittle as old paper and trust was a currency too costly for most to spend. The message was unmistakably clear. In the shadow realm of dreams turned nightmarish reality, nothing was as it seemed, and each revelation raised more questions than it answered. And just when it appeared that the investigative net might close in on a perpetrator, a new lead emerged. A stray piece of evidence linking the modus operandi of the vehicular sabotage directly back to forgotten chapters of American history, reshaping the narrative entirely and suggesting that the quest for lost treasure was not merely about wealth, but was steeped in ancient, almost ritualistic motives. Now, as the final pieces of the puzzle begin to settle into a portrait of inexplicable betrayal and calculated cruelty, one cannot help but wonder, what price do we pay when greed and revenge collide in the dark corners of our society? And as we trace the sinister patterns connecting these tragic events, is there a hidden mastermind waiting in the wings, pulling the strings of fate? These questions linger in the minds of both investigators and watchers alike, beckoning us to follow the trail deeper into the heart of this American mystery, one that promises to reveal yet more secrets with every new twist of fate. Would you dare to uncover the truth behind these haunting events? Stay tuned, like, and subscribe as we journey further into the shadows of intrigue.